Hello and welcome to Conversations at 3 p.m. I'm Divya, Chandra, founder of WomenOfIndia Summit. And we're really excited because we're having a few technological things. But I have with me my absolute favorite person in the world to have for anything, my favorite traveling companion of Africa. Christine Agro is joining us today. We're super lucky to have her. Christine is so many things. Starting with an author, she is a spiritual and a metaphysical authority on everything. I love calling her the Elon Musk, but I got a lot of feedback last time from people saying, but Elon Musk is in trouble. And I'm like, well, then how about we call her the Buddha of like modern day, demystifying spirituality or enlightenment or anything at all. I'm so thrilled to have you here. We're going to be talking about how to create more. Whether it's more in you want stuff, you want opportunities, you want to be more, you want to have more, you want to experience more in whatever way or shape or form that's showing up for you. We couldn't have asked for a better expert authority to join us. Christine, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited you're here and I'm not echoing.
Well, that's great. I'm so excited to be here. You know, it's funny because I thought about that, like, you know, when you called me the Elon Musk of spirituality. And thank you. But when you said that, and then, you know, he got in trouble with the SEC, you know, I had thoughts run through my mind, and I find it so interesting how we want to deconstruct somebody's successes and achievements because they get in trouble. Like, I don't necessarily understand that. I find it interesting. You know, I mean, I think it's human nature, but I do find it interesting. And so just so everybody knows, this is how I find these universal truths that I share with my students and clients and through writing, is things like that pop into my space and I question them. I question why we react and respond the way we do. And then I look at the energy and information that's under it, to better understand what are we working on and how is it showing up and what are we trying to learn from it. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting because it did pop through my head. I was like, huh, so now we can't appreciate his brilliance.
Also, I think that same thing about the paparazzi, right? We want to hear about celebrities shopping for like vegetables or the marriage is in trouble, or because we want to, in some ways, in some odd way, connect with them and say they're human, they have all this extraordinary talent and ability and beauty, and they've been gifted with success. But at the same time, they're just like us. They still eat apples and pineapple and shop for milk, you know?
Yeah, I think it's more that we, and particularly as women, I know we're not on topic of what you wanted to talk about, but I think this shows up for women, that it's this sort of, I think, unconscious old energy dynamic of pitting us against each other, right? So rather than celebrating, we somehow can't separate the, you know, behavior and actions from contribution and even brilliance. And I know, like, I think during, especially like in the United States right now with the Me Too movement, there's a lot of that happening, and I think that there are certain places where that actually absolutely applies, where someone's success has been built on the back of somebody else, or someone's success has been built on diminishing and controlling and tearing down others in order for them to rise up. That's one thing, but we can't apply that to everything, right? And yet we do. So anyway.
And it comes back to a lot of you and I talk about how women have to work harder. We have to prove we're virtuous, we're beautiful. We have to work harder at being worthy. And hence we've, you know, been run by patriarchy for so long, because we get lost in that. Am I the right size? Am I the right color? Are my credentials enough? I really wonder if if I had Kaiser or somebody or my male panelists on this thing, and I'd introduce them as the Elon Musk of, I don't know, film world or gender something. I wonder if they've gotten the same response. It's an interesting thing we should watch as this series continues.
It is interesting
that people are keen on, you know, segregating me, segregating you, other people who come on board. It'll be interesting to see from our audience what comes up. It'll be an interesting case study.
Yeah.
Today, you and I were going to talk about creating more, whatever that means. Uh, you know,
More
um,
trouble.
more. But yeah, well, you and I concern is usually trouble. And we were going to talk about unblocking, your lessons around that. And I was going to bring this up with you. I was thinking about it that because we've been, in the same world for such a long time, and people are at different levels. Somebody's read The Secret and they're following the Abraham Hicks solution. Somebody is doing affirmations. Someone's doing vision boards. Now that's the people who are at some level conscious, right? And that's where they're creating from. But the traditional way that here in India people create was usually by fasting or saying a few mudras or doing a few mudras or doing mantras. Or a very common way would be that there's a particular god that a particular day of the week is associated with, and they would fast on those days. So they would give up something they liked. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the equivalent of saying, oh, say 10 Hail Marys or whatever the equivalent that would be in whichever faith you belong to. But there was a lot of notion of, I have to work hard, I have to struggle, I have to sacrifice, and then I will have more. Whether it's a career thing, whether it's a relationship, usually to do with money and prosperity and opportunity. And that's the old way of creating. How would you define the two different spaces?
Well, I find the traditional or the what we know way of creating, and particularly if we're talking about fasting or Hail Marys, whatever it is, all of it makes sense in a space where we're still working on learning unconsciously, right? So in order to create the space within ourselves to bring in the things that we want, we have to go through purification. We have to go through clearing and shifting and changing and moving stuff out. So, as we've moved through our evolution, our conscious evolution, at some point the information was, there was somebody like me brought in a piece of information that said, if we want to create what we want to create, we have to purify ourselves. So we created ways to purify ourselves, whether it was Native American sweat lodges or doing a puja or doing a fast or whatever the form was, baptism, right? All of these things. Well, baptism was really about releasing original sin, which is really about karma. So I mean, but these different ways that we created to create this sense of purification, which touches on how we have been learning, which is really unconsciously. And it doesn't mean that we're not, how do I want to phrase this? It doesn't mean that we're not aware, but we actually don't know what we're working on and how we're working on it. So when I say we're learning unconsciously, that's what I mean. So as we step into awareness, which is the age of Aquarius, we're seeing lots of peeling away of the veil and layers and pieces of understanding coming in, where we're starting to get things more and understand how capable we are as beings to create what we want. I wouldn't say that this is, I mean, we have this sort of in-between space where we have The Secret and, Abraham Hicks is actually, I think that is similar information, right? It's about law of attraction. So we have this space where we're still putting our ability to create and manifest somehow outside of ourselves, where we have to do these things in order to bring it in. And so the next step in that, which is where I kind of sit, and the information is always evolving in this space, but it's really understanding that, again, what are we working on and how is it showing up? So if we're trying to create and manifest, in order to have the things that we want, we have to clear out the things that don't allow us to have that. So those are the things that we're actually trying to learn. And it might be validating ourselves. So maybe we have been looking for and seeking approval and appreciation from outside of ourselves. And so in order to actually create what we want, we have to step into that place of certainty and validating of ourselves so that we then can start to create what we want. But really, I guess it goes down to that as conscious beings, we have the ability to create and manifest, and the process that we're going through is just cleaning it up so that we're not creating and manifesting things that we don't want, right? Just by chance, because we're not conscious of what we're doing. How was that?
I was going to ask, isn't it true? I mean, this is what I've noticed in my space. You're the expert. That as children, we manifest really easily because we're not so disconnected. We've not been programmed to, like, you think of as children also, you want different things, you're not looking for a $3 million something. You're not looking to win the lottery.
Right.
Our needs are
right. So I think, as children, we don't have the weight on what it is that we're trying to create. We have a lot of joy. I'm thinking about myself, and that ability, I think, disappeared pretty young. Yet at the same time, it didn't, which is kind of interesting. And it is in my astrological chart that I am the receiver of, what do they call it? What do they call it when somebody leaves you money? Bequest? What?
Request? An inheritance request?
Inheritance. I'm like, what is it? I can find the word. So yeah, that is, that's in my astrological chart where I am the receiver of inheritance. And so money comes in these sort of, and windfalls, money comes in these interesting ways for me, or has in the past. But manifesting things that I want was sort of pulled apart when I was a lot younger, with the things of money doesn't grow on trees, and you have to work hard for what you want, and things just, you don't just get handed things, right? I can still hear that in the phrase. But I look at my son, he's 14 now, and I used to just so adore his ability to manifest. I found such joy in it because it was so easy for him. And I think he's lost touch with it, not because we have disconnected him from it, but clearly because it is something that he's processing and working on. I don't think he thinks about it that much. I do watch how he manifests the things that he wants through other people. So he will be given them from, if he wants something, he will be given it from somebody else. And he's always done that too. A lot of my clients, when he was younger, used to like to buy him presents. And so at Christmas time, we would have the Christmas list, and there were little things that he really wanted, and they weren't things that we were getting, and my clients would end up getting them for him, which I always found fascinating. So,
Am I okay?
You're okay. It was a little garbly, but it's okay.
Okay. With people who have intentions. Like when I look at my sister Modita, she's been rescuing and rehabilitating injured dogs since she could steal milk from the fridge and blame it on us. And she has this ridiculous ability. We could be in any part of the world, and if there's an injured animal, it will find us. And she'll also find support. She wants to feed him milk, and we're in the middle of, God knows where, there'll be a cow nearby, or somebody will give her milk. There'll be somebody, she'll be wanting to feed this dog who no one wants to come near because he's got so many maggots on him. And some sweet fellows sitting there selling tea would be like, "Madam, don't worry, give me the medicine, I'll give it to him." And she finds ridiculous ways of, people helping her, giving her support when she's needed it. And I always wondered if it was a thing of when your intention is so pure that the universe conspires, universe, God, whatever your belief is, conspires to help you.
Yeah.
But that's sort of still in our world, because the intention is so clear, so you get the support that you need. But for people who are sort of new to this again, because I think in the past, what we've been taught in every culture is work hard, do good. You do good, so you'll get good. It's very much based on an external sort of karma. What you do will come around kind of thing. What you teach, which is what I love, is that all of us have the ability to create what we want. Whether it's an ability in ourselves, it's a certain level of evolution, certain level of balance, self-validation, feeling at peace with yourself, or it's an external thing like a job position or a certain level of abundance, or a guy or a woman or a child. A lot of people want to have children. What I love about the way you teach this is that it's in your hands, and that's the step. So you talked this about, you said we said in our outline about, what limits us. What are the growth spurts associated with that? Will you talk a little bit about that?
Yes.
I don't think you said growth spurts. You said growth steps, but I interpreted it as.
No, there was something else I was going to touch on though. It was about this piece of doing things when you're of service and having what you need there. And it is interesting because I think we can create and manifest much more fluidly when it isn't something that we really want or that's attached to us, when it is either something that is, inconsequential, or it's something that's for other people or that serves the greater good. And there's this piece where it gets mixed up in, I've talked about support in classes before. We get mixed up in our understanding of the word support and thinking that support equals, certain behaviors or actions from people. But really what's happened is that we wrap around support validation, appreciation, acceptance, approval. And so when we're talking about, like, I don't have any support, oftentimes we can substitute, I'm not being appreciated, that you're not approving of what I'm doing, where support is really like that structure that lets you do what it is that you want to do and that you need to do and are called to do. So it's important to separate those two things. And I think that it ties back around to what we're talking about, because if we're trying to manifest for ourselves, we sometimes, that piece about support we need to have that clarity. So what was the question? Because I know that wasn't it.
No, we were just going to talk about, like, what are the, like you said this so many times before in so many different ways, and for people who have not read your book, 50 Ways to Live More Consciously, please go get it. You talk about, even our last talk that we did on relationships, you brought up the 4 truths that you keep talking about, that eventually all relationships are teaching us a lesson around those 4 truths, which you had mentioned before. Is it the same thing with when you're trying to get something, be somewhere, be someone, and you're not getting that the growth steps are again related to those 4 truths? Because when I work with clients in my own practice, I always ask them, what's the why? Why do you want it? Why do you want your business to look like this? Why do you want your relationship to look like this? What's underneath it?
Yeah.
And
that's important, because if you're not attached to the reason that you want to create something, the reason that you want to do something, then it can't really come in, especially if you're in that sort of in-between space between creating unconsciously and creating consciously, right? If you're in that sort of gray area where you're just starting to shift and you aren't really connected to the why of what you're putting out there. Like sometimes we just so when I say to people, okay, set out your intentions of what you want to create for yourself, I can just see them putting out there like $10 million. I want to create $10 million. So great. You want to create $10 million. There's a couple of things around that. First of all, in order to create the $10 million, you have to get rid of everything in your space that you carry that doesn't allow you to actually have $10 million. So self-worth, what you do in the world, how you show up in the world, anything that doesn't resonate with you being able to have $10 million, you now have set out for yourself this growth period to learn everything and clear everything and heal everything that sits between you and $10 million. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is that we throw this number out there because we think that $10 million is going to solve our problems. We think that $10 million.
You've frozen. You just frozen for me, you've frozen for everyone.
Are we back?
Yes, we froze for a quick second. It must be very meaningful. That's why I froze.
Do you know where we froze? What was I saying?
Froze at what that $10 million or $3 million represents. That's where you are. Just like 5 seconds ago, not too far out.
I think I was moving on to the other piece. Hold on a second, let me find it. There's some really interesting energy here today.
Mm.
And I say that because I know, like, when I can't find my thoughts, it means that there's a lot of energy floating around, and I'm having a little bit of a hard time finding my thoughts. So we were talking about the $10 million and having to create it. Oh, so when people throw out this number of $10 million, they have this belief that it's an arbitrary number, and they think that this number, if they have this money, that it's going to solve their problems. It's going to let them live the life that they want to live. It's going to make their relationships the way that they want to make them. And it won't, and it doesn't, because whatever is going on is really, it's really about what you're trying to learn and what you're trying to heal and how it's showing up in your life. And so on top of that, when we throw out this arbitrary number, it doesn't allow. So if you think $10 million is going to make your life better, the question is, well, what does better mean to you? What is it that's missing in your life? And that's what you really want to be focused on manifesting, right? So if you aren't fulfilled in your work, then you want to set out your intention to have fulfilling work come to you. Work that feeds your soul, work that inspires you, work that makes you happy to get up in the morning, right? That it might not be $10 million worth of work, right? But it is going to answer that point, right? If you want to be able to travel and take vacations, then that's what you are manifesting, is the freedom, the luxury, the expansiveness in your life so that you can do those things. You don't know how they're going to come to you. They can come in all sorts of different ways. But if your mind is like, oh, $10 million is going to let me do all of that, there's no real attachment to it. It's a mental body like blurb that you're sending out there. And, unless you absolutely love money, like love it, you're probably not going to manifest the $10 million. So yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, you were saying something.
No, it's okay.
No, because we used to have this with the summit, and I've worked with so many women and women's groups, and they always tell me, oh, we want to do a thing on weight loss. We want to do exercise. Can you put something in around diet and nutrition? And when Mudita and I talked about, we talked about this with you as well in the initials, when we would format what we were doing for the summit. And I kept saying to everyone, because I've struggled with my weight for most of my life, is it's not weight loss. Nobody's looking for weight loss. Everyone's looking for self-esteem. We're all looking to feel better about ourselves. And we hope that in this size or this diet or this regimen, we'll get that acceptance and the approval that we're looking for. And it's not that. And I see this so common between, and there's a whole multi-billion-dollar industry that thrives on women not feeling good about themselves. So it's not going to go out of our culture anytime soon. So checking the why, whether it's you're looking for a relationship, whether it's health or wellness or money, is I love the way you explain that, because it's very simple to see. You don't actually want to manage $10 million. You're hoping to get the benefits and to feel a certain way around that.
Right.
And that's where your growth steps are. So what would be a simple tool that you would say for someone to start with to get on this path, to even get to the path of awareness? I mean, you're way far ahead than most people. What's a simple way for someone who's sitting on something in this? It's something that's eluded them for a long time. What's a simple tool that they can start with?
I mean, I think it's fun to set out your intention, and like we can go from that. Like there's other more intricate ways of contextualizing what it is that we want to create for ourselves. But in simple steps, to set out your intention to create something easy and simple and small that you're not really attached to, that's fun, that's light, so that you can start to see for yourself that it's you who has the ability to create what you want. Because I think that's the biggest thing, is that as we're moving through these stages from unconscious learning to conscious learning, or unconscious living to conscious living, is that our power is placed into these outside sources. It's God, it's the universe, it's I don't know, source, like the one, like whatever it is. We're putting our power into these outside sources. And the truth is that it's our spirit that brings us what it is that we're asking for. It's our spirit that manifests the things in our life. So we may get outside help if you work with angels or you work with deities, whatever it is. They're supporting you in bringing those things in, but it's not giving the power over to somebody. It is retaining that power and recognizing that you have the ability to create what you want. It's up to you. Your life is yours to create how you choose. So if you start to play with it on a play level, on a fun level, and it should all be play anyway, even for the things that are, you know, bigger and that we're trying to bring into our life on a larger scale. As soon as we lose that play space, you know, when the energy just drops, because it's about staying in that. If you think of going back to children and how they can manifest so simply, they live in a play space, right? They're joyful, they're open, they have no boundaries, they have no in their space until we put it there. It's right, it's all possible. So it's getting back to that energy and creating from that place. So to get started playing with it, it's really to step into this play space of setting out your intention to create things for yourself that are just fun and simple. You know, in classes with me, we talk about creating free food and flowers and seeing something that you want to notice, like, you know, mock up seeing a rainbow, mock up seeing, I don't know, you know, the one was like somebody dressed all in purple, right?
I remember that. Yeah.
That was a fun one, right? So, and just being playful with it. And then you also have the things that you know are more connected to your life. I don't want to say are like more serious, because we don't want to go into that serious space, but the things that are more connected to you, stepping into whatever it is that you want to step into. So if you're trying to create a relationship, you want to think about the qualities of the person that you want in your life, and you want to send those out as the person that you want to meet. Otherwise, you're just leaving it up to chance, right? And whoever's going to show up is going to show up. If you're trying to step into something new or looking for a new job, again, really thinking about what is it that you want to do, and not like, I want to work at XYZ. Maybe, you know, maybe that's the right way to go, but more in the sense of, how do you want to feel about your work? What is your experience going to be? What are your days like? What are your colleagues like? What's the environment like? What's the values of the company like? Right? Really looking at the quality of what it is that you're trying to create. So those are just some, you know, I think simple suggestions. I also think it's really great to write things down, because it echoes or mirrors our manifestation process. So in the energetic space, it goes from energy through spirit in the body and into the physical form, right? That's how things manifest. So if we take it from the mental body through the physical body, through the arm channel onto paper, we're macrocosm, microcosm. We're echoing or mirroring the way that the manifestation process happens. And there's something powerful in that.
I remember a long time ago, I was doing some course with you, which I think it was 40 days. And I had a month of every week someone was sending me a present. And it was not something that I'd asked for. It was just random, really pretty things. And it was just like I remember 6 weeks of and unexpected people, not, you know, people like my mother spoiled me, my sister spoiled me, I have friends who spoiled me with gifts. But it was like the most random people giving me the most random things that I must have asked for in some strange, when I was 20 or something, you know, and this pair of shoes and this piece of art. And I remember thinking, this is what it means when you have that alignment piece, when you're in alignment with some degree of receiving.
And I think that, you know, the 40 days class, it you know, because we work with some mantras, and this round we're going to be working with a mudra, and we do the energy work around our personal mindset and energetic space of what we're actually working on. There's something magical about the class, and that it opens up the space for just fun magic to happen, which I really love. It's it's a fun space.
I have to say, I've done 40 days with you practically every year. And what I have to say to you is that what I find interesting about this work is once you become aware that you have this ability, it's like magic. It's like, I should tell everybody who's listening, who's going to listen in the future, there are going to be a lot of Harry Potter references in anything that I do. So it's literally like waking up one day and remembering that you're a witch or you have extraordinary abilities. And I've actually noticed that just as easily we've tuned ourselves out or been programmed into believing in like how we are with kids, right? Like as children, I remember waking up, like I used to call it being on crack. I used to wake up thinking the world was mine. And, what was I going to experience today? And I remember losing that over as I got older. And one of the best things that I found working with you and with other such teachers doing this energy work and living consciously is finding this power, knowing that I have it in me. Like Abraham Hicks says, it's as easy to manifest a button as it is a chateau. It's like, and that experience, it's basically the experience that you're looking for primarily. I found that 40 days is it's the one class that stayed with me for like, I think 10, 12 years now, that it just reminds you how easy things can be and how effortless things can be when you're living this conscious way, when you're aware of your power, when you're aware of your connection to the divine, to your own spirit. Will you talk a little bit more about 40 days so that if anyone's interested, they can sign up, look into it?
Yeah. So we start this Saturday. I think, the thing that I love about the program is that, so I've been doing this work for almost 20 years now. And the whole basis of it is really my fascination with what are we working on and how is it showing up? And so it's really about energy. It's I'm seeing it in that energetic form and understanding what stops us from growing, what stops us from having what we want, what stops us from being who we are. And so over the years, I've looked at a lot of different modalities from the energetic perspective, like how does this work and why does it work? And I was introduced to mantras when I was living in an ashram for a period of time, and I was fascinated with them at the time. I had not completely stepped into really, I guess, like who I am today and the work that I do. But even then, like, my mind was like, how does it work? How does it work? Right. And starting to look at it and understand it. And what I love about it is that, we're really talking about the sounds of the universe, that powerful vibration that when you recite them, basically move through and clear the blocks that are there. And, if you say them out loud, it's much more forceful. If you say them internally, it's more gentle. And we'll see in class space where students will come in and they'll be like, oh, I had like a really like rough week of lots of things falling away. And I'm like, okay, well, let's try, for you, try saying them silently. Just let's make it a little more gentle. So again, it's like always looking at how the energy, what's happening energetically with the things that we're doing. So the program really is set up where we have a daily practice, which is a combination of a I want to say a meditation space, but I don't want you to go to that place of thinking like it's still your mind or like becoming void or no. It's not that, but it is a meditation space of sorts that's really about bringing you into your body and connecting you into your body. And then we have the mantras, and we're going to add in a mudra that I've been playing with over the last year and a half. I just love. It's amazing how quickly like stuff happens with it. I really like it. So we're going to play with that. And in that regard, we're talking about, again, energy channels. We're talking about acupressure and the lines, the meridians that run through the body and creating and shifting within ourselves. And then we have 7 classes that are energy based, and we look at mindset and the energies that get in our way and stop us from having what we want and better understanding our ability to manifest. So it's a little bit of a hodgepodge of everything that I've gathered over the years, but comes together in this really beautiful way.
What I love about it is of course the tools that you have, but I also love is how it brings you really face to face with your beliefs, which you don't even know are so deeply embedded in what you can have and who you can be, because we all have people in our lives where we see and they like certain aspects of life are so successful and so easy and effortless, and you're like, what is that person doing? Is it their horoscope? Is it, is it that they just have the right kind of nose? Like, one always wonders why they have what they have. And what I've
Right.
learned working with you and in this work is that most of the time it's us who get in our own ways, or our conditioning, or the life that we've led, the areas that we've chosen to focus on, So I think a great place to start would be for people to also start noticing what they want versus what they believe they can have. And I would highly recommend to anyone who's watching, please check out 40 Days to Create More. And please check out Christine's 50 Ways to Create More Consciously, which is a book that she wrote. It is invaluable, which I go back to every month. Christine, where can people find you?
Right. So you can get the book as a free PDF. You can obviously buy it in its book form, which I love because I like to hold on to stuff. But you can get the free PDF if you just go to 50 ways to live life consciously, and it's the number 50, not the word. So it's 50 ways to live life consciously.com. And so that's that. And you just put in your information, you get the free PDF, and then have fun reading. And then for 40 days, it's the same thing. It's the number 40 days, 40 days to creating more.com. And that'll take you to the page about the program if you want to sign up. But we start on Saturday. And it's good. So, but thank you, Divya. Is there anything else that you?
I think we're good. I think I know you have another interview, so I'm going to let you go. I want to thank you so much again from our listeners, from our viewers, for being on board. We're going to have you again because I have like a whole list of topics I'm going to discuss with you. For everyone else listening, please join us again next time. Leave us a question, leave us a comment about what you'd like to talk about, what you'd like to ask Christine, because we're definitely going to have it on again. We're still working on the money piece, which I'm going to have her up around Diwali, which is New Year for us, and the season of prosperity and new beginnings. Until then, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Christine, thank you so much again for being here. This was amazing. Bye. Bye, everyone. Next time.